Welcome to the Full Frame Podcast. Today we are talking about post-production. So we've talked about our entire production process. We've talked about pre-production, production. Now we're to post-production, where we finally have all of the content from our customers. We've come to your location. We've gone to the set that we've decided will work for your shoot and have all the B-roll, made it super easy for you. And now we get to do our magic. I keep saying we like I'm on your team, but your team gets to do all of the magic.
That's okay. We're all on the team, Ian.
Your team gets to do all of the magic behind the scenes to tell the customer story. And today we're going to talk about how that happens. Before we jump into that, Christine, do you want to just introduce yourself? Tell us what you do or what your title for the company is, and then a little bit about your background.
Sure. Hi, my name's Christine. I work as an illustrator / motions graphics designer for Avian. I went to school at Savannah College of Art and Design down in Georgia, and I have a strong background in animation and motion. So I do pretty much all the graphics. Anything that's drawn is usually by my hand. Yes, it's me.
Yeah. I didn't know that you went to Savannah College of Art and Design. That's really cool. When I was graduating with my bachelor's in communications, I was looking down there to be like, because I was very interested in video production myself. I have done a lot of research on that school, and it's a great school. All right, jumping into the conversation. And I don't want to get too technical. I know before we started recording, we talked a little bit about like the software we use, but that was really just to help me understand if there's somewhere we could take this conversation. But so we're using software for the techies called like After Effects and Photoshop, most of the Adobe Creative Cloud suite. But I guess where we would want to start this conversation is really after that day of production, Tina. What's the next step for our customers, and how long, I guess, is the timeline for post-production?
That's an interesting question. So the official answer is it depends on the post-production process really is dependent on the customer's needs. If we are marrying Christine's illustrations and motion graphic skills within video, then we have to work together to provide those pieces so that then we can render the internal draft and then the customer draft. So that can be dependent on how much illustration and graphics. I know Christine worked very closely on a training and education project for one of our government clients, and it was all graphic and motion design. And Christine can talk more intelligently about the creative behind that, but it meets the client's needs on what is required, how long it takes.
Right. And I think that project that you mentioned is a good one to focus on for this, since it was heavy graphics, and it sounds like Christine did a lot of work on it. So let's focus on that a little bit. What, I guess, Christine, from your side, how do you even start a project like that? Like, so I assume we recorded some sort of audio. Was there any video, or was it all just graphic and audio?
It all starts, at least if it's a project completely that's on my plate, I'll just receive audio files along with the script, and we'll discuss with the customer what kind of ideas they would like to see and make sure that we understand the topic so that we're representing it correctly with the right kind of like icons and art. Because a lot of it is making sure that the message is clear, and whatever subject they're talking about, we can present it in a way that other people can understand it as well.
Yeah. So now I guess my next question from there is, do you have an idea of what those graphics and animations are going to look like? Like during that storyboarding process, I assume you kind of brainstorm what type of graphics you would use. Is that coming from there? And again, all that's done with the customer, right? Or with at least customer input.
Oh yeah. Oftentimes after going through the script, I'll create like a hand-drawn storyboard to give them an idea of what the graphics could look like, and they'll give us feedback, and we'll go back and forth a little bit to make sure that we have the strongest idea possible before we begin animating, because it's a lot easier to change it early on than after you've done like an entire animation and rewriting it.
Right.
Yeah,
I've go ahead, Tina.
Well, one of the great things about working with our avian team is that they're very well versed in the government world and also the commercial world. So Christine has often done these animated storyboards for clients, which then sparks other ideas from them. And they say, oh, I really like this. And can we do X, Y, and Z along with it? And so that creative process weaves the clients and the customers' feedback within it, so that when Christine gets to actually animate the whole thing, we have a really good idea of how the customer wants to deliver that message.
Yeah. Can you, and maybe you can't, I don't know, this is kind of just a question for myself, but can you categorize the types of animations that you guys do? So like, I know we talked about whiteboarding animations a little bit. Are there other categories of animations that you guys do? In a general sense, I guess.
Throw that one to Christine. She's the expert there.
I mean, besides whiteboard, a lot of it's motion graphics animation, if that makes sense. It's a lot of text coming on screen, a lot of images coming on and off, things drawn in, drawn out. Right. Animations of things popping in, popping out, transforming. I got to melt a dinosaur once, and that was really fun.
Oh. Was that a transition, or was it just part of the
part of the animation?
The video?
It was like dinosaur forms melting into a barrel of oil.
So, again, kind of just a question for myself. Are we ever looking at doing like character animations? Have we ever done anything like that where like we create basically a cartoon for a customer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How, again, I assume part of the storyboarding process, but how do you decide which type of style to use? Like, how do you decide if it's going to be a whiteboard, or how do you decide if it's going to be just graphic animation? Is that mostly from customer input, or is that something that you guys decide and maybe recommend to the customer? Thank you guys so much for watching the first part of this episode. If you want to learn more about our video production team and specifically the virtual tours that they've produced, you can go to avian.com/virtual tours. That's avian.com/virtual tours. You can learn about all of the services that they provide and see some of the videos that they've produced in the past as well. Thank you again for listening to this podcast. Tune in next week for the next part of this episode.